You guys have cookies that is crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. This is literally those cookies, but in beef. Like so good. Hello and welcome to another episode of Anything But Authentic, where I make crazy unique food that is anything but authentic. On today's episode, I'll be making Pipikaula-style's Galbi. I know a lot of you must have been thinking like, what am I talking about? What are these words? Pipikaula Galbi? So in case you don't know, Pipikaula is a type of Hawaiian jerky. And during my recent visit to Hawaii, I've had the privilege to try Pipikaula-style ribs from Helena, and it's so amazing that literally when I took a first bite into that piece of ribs, I was in a different world. Like, it was that good. It had a great texture, great taste, and it was just overall just to die for. If you're ever in Oahu, Hawaii, then I definitely highly recommend you to try Helena's ribs. They're delightful and I crave them every day. So today I'm gonna be taking the marinade of the Galbi and make it into a Pipikaula style and just create this heavenly fusion that is to die for. I cannot get enough of this and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did too. Let's get started. Alright, first we're going to start with making the Galbi marinade for the ribs. So what I have here is around 2 cups of pear. So typically in Galbi we use Korean pear to marinate the ribs with, but since I can't find Korean pear near where I live, what I found is basically sand pear. And from when I was trying to test this recipe, this worked just as well. But if you can't find sand pear where you live, Bosco pear or any other pear is great with this recipe. But what you want is around 2.5 cups of pear to start with. So yeah, just add around 2 cups of pear into a food processor, along with 1 medium onion. And then I'm gonna add in around 1 bulb of garlic, which is around 8 to 12 cloves of garlic into the food processor. And then into it, I'm gonna add a small ginger. This is around 1 or 2 teaspoons. You don't want too much. So that goes in. And then this is typically not included into Galbi, but since I have some around and it's just shallot, it's it's in the same family of onions, so might as well just add it in and no waste, right? So just put that straight in, along with a 1/3 cup of brown sugar and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And then just mix it really well until it turns to a paste. So I'm just gonna give this a go and then I'll add the rest of the ingredients here. All right, and then to it, you want to add around a 1/3 cup of soy sauce, along with around a 1/3 cup of cooking wine or water. And then give it a little more blend just so everything is well blended, and then we'll move on from there. All right, everything is well blended, so now it's marinade time. What I have here, as you can see, are actually short ribs that is deboned. This is just what I can find at my local supermarket. If you can find, short ribs with bones, that would be better in my opinion, but this also works. What I basically did is to kind of cut it up into like 1 to 1.5 inch cubes. So the reason why I didn't use that thin cut that you see in Galbi is because from my experience from, tasting the Pipikaula ribs at Helena's, as well as testing this recipe, thicker cut definitely gives the final product a bit more texture, and in my opinion, it tastes a lot better that way. So for this recipe, I highly recommend you to take your time to find a thicker cut of short ribs. So what I'm gonna do now really is just to, marinate this for around 24 hours. So let's put this all in. You really want to cover the entire thing with their marinade. All right, so like I said, you really want to make sure to submerge all of the ribs into the marinade, and then we want to marinate this for at least 24 hours. So I'm gonna see you back here in 24 hours. Before I continue, there are a few things I forgot to include in the last step. One is that I was using around 2 pounds of short ribs that I cut into 1.5 to 2 inches cubes. And then I also forgot to add 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil into a marinade. I apologize for leaving out that piece of information, but if you're following along, make sure you add 2 tablespoons of sesame oil into the marinade. It's a crucial flavor for Galbi, so make sure you don't forget that part like I did, though I did add it after filming. I just didn't film it. Alright, after 24 hours, the ribs has been sitting in the marinade and it's been marinated pretty well. So what you want to do now is to just take them out like so and just line them up on a cooling rack that is sitting on top of, a baking tray. Why am I doing this like this? Well, for a dehydrator, when it dehydrates, all the fats and all the marinade and whatnot would start to drip down. And if you don't mind cleaning up your oven and whatnot, then go ahead to do it without putting it over a baking tray. But I just don't like, cleaning things that I don't need to. So again, like I said, just place all the ribs or as much you can onto one rack at a time, like so. Alright, this is all I can fit for now. So if you have a dehydrator, you want to put it into a dehydrator and set it at 135 degrees Fahrenheit for around 8 hours. Otherwise, if you don't have a dehydrator, I highly recommend you to go to the lowest setting as possible. Mine oven goes down to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. And so at 170 degrees Fahrenheit, I would personally bake it and dry it out for around 6 hours. But since I have a dehydrator, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna see you back here in another 8 hours. Alright, after about 8 hours of dehydrating the meat, it's looking good. I don't know if you can see, but the outside is now dry, but the inside is still uncooked. So it's gonna give you a really interesting range of texture. In case I haven't mentioned, Pipikaula-style is basically a Hawaiian kind of jerky style, but we're not drying it all the way to make it a jerky. We're only drying it, the outside. So we're getting this like half jerky, half short rib flavor. It's gonna be great. So what we're gonna do now, after drying the exterior of the ribs, we're gonna be deep frying. If you have a grill and you wanna grill it, that's fine. What I found worked best for me is to deep fry it in low to medium temperature for around 5 to 8 minutes. And that just makes the meat cook just right. So yeah, I'm gonna turn this on. And then once the oil gets hot, I'm gonna fry the meat in batches for around 5 minutes per batch. And then I'll see you back here to see the final results. Alright, after frying all of the pieces, I literally just took it out, add some green onions, sesame seeds on top, along with a bowl of rice, some furikake, pickled veggies, and cucumber. And I'm very excited to try this again. You know what, I'm just gonna dig into it. So good. You guys have cookies that is crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. This is literally those cookies, but in beef. Like, you get the crispy exterior because we dried out the exterior, and then when we fry it on low, the inside gets cooked but not too overcooked, so it's still kind of like medium rare and whatnot. So it's like, it's crispy on the outside and then super soft on the inside. Super good. Thank you for growing with me, Guber. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to support my channel, and I hope to see you here next time on Anything But Authentic.